Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Point of View with Shirley, Cleester, Eula, and Merethah. It's such a wonderful day, and I am so thankful to God because He's blessed me to be here on this Tuesday, which is the 19th of September in the year 2023. And this is Lauren, Les's daughter, and this is her 18th birthday. Happy birthday again, Lauren Polk. She's celebrating a birthday. Yesterday was Erica, our niece's birthday. Lauren is our great niece. Erica is our niece, and then Sunday was Cleester, my sister's birthday. So we are celebrating birthdays here in this family. And I am so glad that God has blessed us to live to see these days. And coming up this Saturday is Danny, our brother Danny. It's his birthday coming up this coming Saturday. And this is the day that I will, God willing, be releasing our family memorial video. It's a memorial to all of our immediate family that God has called into eternity. So it will be released on Saturday, God willing. And I'm so excited about it. So thank you again for joining me. What do you do when life seems to be too tough? What do you do? What do we do when life seems to be too tough? So I want to go here. When life is tough, you can try to follow in to help cope. And this is Bing, and we know when we're looking at something, if you use Bing, it comes up. This is trust experience, accept the facts, take responsibility, start where you are, and lean on your support system. Lean on your support system. So, and I want to go to this part where life is planning mindfully.com, and then I have some more. But I haven't been in, I don't think I've been in planningmindfully.com, and I don't know if it's going to let me go ahead and get into this. When life gets hard, it can be helpful to remember that challenges are an integral part of the human experience. So here's some tips that might help you cope. And this is Bing. This is Bing. Still in Bing, Bing.com. Number one, and I just said this, trust the experience. Challenges can be moments of opposition or opportunity. Embrace them as opportunities for growth and self discovery. Number two, accept the facts. Focus on the present and work with what you have. And see, that's what so many of us get off. We start focusing on maybe the future or the past or whatever, but we don't realize and focus on the present and start working with what we have instead of wondering what it's going to be in the future or what will it be if I do this and move on. But do work with what you have right now, okay? So avoid adding unnecessary complications to an already challenging situation. Number three, take responsibility. Overcome challenges by taking responsibility for your life. We can overcome those challenges by taking responsibility for our lives, all right? You have the power, and we talk about your self empowerment almost every day in some kind of way. We might not say the two words, but we talk about self empowerment every time we come on this camera, okay? You have the power to shape your own happiness and overcome obstacles. So, what do you do when life seems to be tough? Number four, start where you are. Begin by acknowledging your emotional experience and allowing yourself to feel. FEEL, okay? Allow yourself to feel. Some people try to block their emotions, they try to stifle them, they try to keep them from coming forward. But it says, acknowledge your emotional experience and allow yourself to feel. All right, FEEL. So this can help you learn from difficult situations and emotions. It really can. Allow yourself to feel the experience because you're going to feel it anyway, so you might as well allow yourself to feel it, and it will be much easier when you acknowledge it. So, number 5, lean on your support system. Reach out to friends, family, or professionals who can provide guidance and support during tough times. Number 6, count your blessings. Cultivate gratitude by focusing on the positive aspect of your life. Look at the positive aspect of your life. Look at the positive. Don't focus on the negative all the time. We lose out so much by focusing on the negative and are trying to think of what could be, or what should have been, and all of that. Don't lose out on all that precious time and lose out on your life. Focus on what's going on now. Count your blessings. Cultivate by focusing on the positive aspects of your life. Look at the good things that have happened. We've all had many, many good things. And there's that song that says, "My, what is it? All of my good days outweigh my bad days, and I thank you, Lord. I won't complain." So cultivate gratitude by focusing on the positive aspects of your life. So this can help shift your perspective and improve your overall well-being, and that's a fact. That's a fact. Okay, number 7, stay present. Stay present, all right? Don't disappear from yourself. Stay present. Practice mindfulness and stay grounded in the present moment. This can help reduce anxiety and improve mental clarity. So stay present, stay focused, okay? Number 8, laugh. Find humor in challenging situations. Laughter has been shown to reduce stress and improve mood. Num oh my heading probably is different. I didn't change my heading on Facebook and to show up. I will change it. All right. Remember that life is forever changing. Remember, we have to remember this. Life is forever changing. Difficult times are temporary, and change is inevitable. Embrace the impermanence of life and trust that better days will come. Number 10, take it as a learning experience. What do we do when life seems to be tough? This is telling us and helping us out. Number 10, take it as a learning experience. View challenges as opportunities for personal growth and learning. Reflect on what you can learn from difficult situations. And we've all had difficult situations, some still having them. They will come, they will go, but we should learn from these situations. All right. Number 11, take it a day at a time. One day at a time, sweet Jesus. That's all I'm asking of you. We can only take care of one day at a time anyway. Take no thought for tomorrow, for tomorrow will take care of itself. We can't take care of tomorrow. We have to focus on the day at hand. Take it day by day. Break down overwhelming challenges into smaller, manageable tasks. Focus on one day at a time and celebrate small victories along the way. That's what we have to do. Some people try to grab and have the great big victory and they want to do a big, big thing all the time. But we have to take advantage of the small victories that we have. The small victories build up and make a big victory, all right? So focus on one day at a time at a, and celebrate small victories along the way. Now remember, everyone's journey is unique. Everybody's journey is different. Everybody's journey is different. It's unique. We might have similar situations in the journeys, but everybody's journey is unique. And it's important to find strategies that work best for you. If you're feeling overwhelmed, consider seeking professional help from a therapist or a counselor who can provide personalized guidance. So please take care of yourself and remember that tough times don't last forever. Tough times don't last forever. And this is Bing.com. Tough times, and there's a song that I'm so glad trouble don't last always. Oh my good Lord, oh my good Lord. Tell me, what should I do? Trouble does not last always, but it does come. Changes come in our lives. Oh, yes, they do. Changes come in our lives. And I am on this page, this site, planningmindfully.com. It seems like I've heard of this before, and I might have done something from this page before. But this is a piece uh, when life gets hard, 13 tips to keep moving forward when things get tough. This is planningmindfully.com. You want an amazing life, right? Yeah, we all want an amazing life. Yes, we do. So the writer said, I'm willing to bet you probably don't want to feel bad about life. None of us want to feel bad about life. Life is a gift. Life is precious. But we do have difficult situations. Oh, yes, we do. And we can all attest to that. Feeling bad sucks. This is a writer, okay? Feeling bad sucks. Nobody wants to be plagued by darkness that holds you back from being successful. Yet the reality is that life gets hard sometimes. Life does get hard. Thank you so much for being with me. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Life does get hard sometimes. Unfortunately, so many people let these scenarios dictate their lives and quit trying to do their best because why bother? And some people give up. They give up and they do what we call throw in the towel. We've seen them like in wrestling matches. Is it wrestling matches? Maybe boxing matches when one opponent, their coach or their corner person feels like they've had enough, they'll throw in the towel. That means that, hey, stop the match. It's over. So I don't want you to throw in the towel. I'm not going to throw in the towel. Okay? So some people feel like this and they do this. That's why we have the suicides. That's why we have people murdering other people. Some people have problems and instead of helping themselves or they go out and harm somebody else. So we unfortunately so many people let these scenarios dictate their lives and quit trying to do their best because they wonder why bother? It's not going to get any better. Some people give up. They give up. It seems hopeless to them. So is that you right now? How do you feel right now? Is that you? Is that you? You're probably wondering why in the world this is happening to you. You may feel like you're stuck in despair and that you'll never be able to get out of your situation. Sometimes it seems, oh, that'd be so tough. And sometimes you heard them say, I cried and I cried and cried and I cried. Cried all night long. My pillow was wet with tears. Cried all day long. And it seemed like no help was coming. Those things literally happen. We cried and we cried because things seemed so tough and unbearable at the time. But look, hanging in here. All right, and that's what you have to do. You may feel like you're stuck in despair and that you'll never be able to get out of your situation, but just hold on, okay? The darkest hour is just before dawn. So your darkest time is just before the day breaks. And always remember that going through situations when it's your darkest, you feel like it's so dark. that you cannot see, and it gets darker and darker. Then when it gets to that darkest point, then the daybreak is going to get better. So just hold on. Hold on. I promise it'll get better. It's time to get real. Life gets hard sometimes. It's going to get hard. But everybody's going to experience some hardships in one way or another. Sometimes it's a result of our doing, but the writer said, I find most of the time it's completely out of our control. And that's for real. So giving up on ourselves as a result of situations that are out of our control isn't really worth it, is it? It's not worth it. We cannot control it. So don't destroy yourself. Don't give up because you cannot control it. But I promise that you will be able to tolerate it. All right? So, why does this happen? The problem is in our path to improving ourselves, many of us put on these blinders and focus only on the good. And that's what we like to do. We try to focus on the good always. So it says we put on these blinders. We try to not think about this could happen. And I'm not saying that we dwell on, oh, this might happen, and be panicky all the time. That's not it. But some people put on blinders trying to block out anything that might happen, and these things are going to happen. So blinders won't work. And what is a blinders? Blinders are things that obstruct you from seeing on the side, seeing anything on the side. It keeps you focused straight forward. Okay, they put those on horses. Okay, so why does this happen? The problem is in our path to improving ourselves, many of us put on these blinders and focus only on the good. There is nothing wrong with being optimistic, but life is fabulous at throwing curveballs. Oh, yes. When our blinders are on and life gets hard, like really hard, it's so easy for us to throw all of our progress out of the window. So many people have come so far and gotten almost to the finish line and just they've given up. The victory was right ahead and they couldn't outlast it because they gave up hope. The best thing you can do when life gets hard is to keep moving forward. So, how to move forward when life gets hard? We're going into this. Gaining momentum in challenging moments doesn't have to be large, doesn't have to be difficult or life changing. In fact, it's amazing how the smallest momentum can actually get the ball rolling to small progress. And you can't have big progress without small progress first. Remember, I said the little things and they build up and make the big victory? You cannot have the big without the small, okay? Without the little, all right? And you cannot have the large without the small. Okay? In order to gain momentum when life gets hard, there isn't a mix of things you must stop doing. There is, excuse me, let me go back and do this right. In order to gain momentum when life gets hard, there is a mix of things you must stop doing and things you must start doing to gain traction and start making progress. Things you must do. You have to stop doing some things and start doing something else so you can gain traction and start making progress. Okay? Stop doing these things when life gets hard. Here we go. And this is planningmindfully.com. Stop doing these things when life gets hard. A lot of actions people take when life gets hard actually make life more difficult. It's more challenging in a way because These are behaviors many of us see regularly. TV characters, family members, and celebrities all engraved in these activities when life gets tough. So here are six behaviors to consider ditching if you want life to get better. Tip number one, stop trying to control what you can't control. And see, this was in being, remember? So these are working together. So we know we're on the right track. There are some things in life we have control of, but there are plenty more that we don't have control of. Plenty more that we don't have control of. So when things don't go well, people try so hard to change things they have absolutely zero control over. And they just exhaust themselves. We exhaust ourselves to the point where we just have to lie down, sit down. We're just so physically and emotionally exhausted because we're trying to control something that we have no control over. So when things don't go well, people try so hard to change things they have absolutely zero control over. So whether it's trying to get approval from others, trying to prevent our brains from having different thoughts, or let me get this, things we don't have control of, okay? Different thoughts of something happened here, cut my sentence off. All right. Things we don't have control of. Our thoughts, and that's for real. I know we've all experienced this. A thought will come into our mind, and we know that we had no business thinking that. And it just pops into our minds. Things we don't have control of. When it pops into our mind, we have to rebuke that thing and rebuke it in the name of Jesus, and work it, put a focus on something else. If it's a negative thing, focus on something else. Get busy thinking about something else. All right? So with things that we don't have control of, we don't have control of our thoughts. We don't have control of our emotions. We try hard, don't we? We try. And we just can be so emotional and we just, and some people say, suck it up. We try. Sometimes they get the best of us. We don't have control over other people. That's a fact. We don't have control over Mother Nature. That's an absolute fact. We don't have control over decisions that are already made. We don't have control over decisions that are already made. So, what we do have control of is our reactions. Oh, this is so good. And future choices and decisions. This is what we do have control over. So people who do best when life gets hard ultimately focus on what they can adjust. Okay? What they can adjust. Tip two, quit believing you could have prevented the outcome. We have to quit believing that we could have prevented the outcome. Hello, thank you so much for being with me. Thank you. When life gets hard, people often believe that they could have done something different that would prevent their circumstances. And I still think about some things that have happened, and I say, if I could, I could have done this, but we couldn't do it. I couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't do anything about it. So this is really common in depression, actually. Depression is a legitimate disease, but so many people who have depression believe that if they had made different choices and taken different actions, they wouldn't have depression. It doesn't quite work that way. All right? So, what do we do when life seems tough? What do we do? Like the list mentions in the point above, there are so many things outside of our control. So many things. But that doesn't mean you give up. All right? Do not give up. There is no sense wasting energy and emotion on believing we could have done something differently. What's done is done. If there is something different you can do for your future, then focus on that instead. But you can't go back and change the past. It cannot be done. Tip three, recognize the liar in your head. All right, it's getting really, really, really to the nitty gritty, huh? Have you ever felt so angry that you thought about doing something you absolutely wouldn't do in real life? For most of us, we're able to separate reality and behave appropriately despite how we feel at the moment. So many of us can, but there's so many who can't. Okay? Yet when it comes to our thoughts about ourselves, separating reality gets a lot more challenging. So when life gets hard, it's very easy to have thoughts such as, I'm such a loser. This will never get better. Other people wouldn't struggle as much as me. Nobody cares. And if you notice on my Facebook page almost every day, I remind people, anyone that reads the content on my Facebook page, I always say, always remember, I always know. I try to put that on. I might not make it every day, but I want people to know that somebody loves you, somebody cares. Somebody loves you. Somebody cares for you. Somebody's praying for and with you. And even if you don't pray, somebody is praying for you. That's a fact. So our brains aren't designed to give us pretty, perfect thoughts 100% of the time. We also aren't supposed to take everything our brains feed us at face value because if we did, ooh, we'd be running around, probably, you know how people do is go twiddling our thumbs all the time and all of that. We can't take everything that our brain feeds us at face value because remember those thoughts that come into our minds that we have no idea where they came from. Well, we do know, I guess, where they came from. And those of us who believe in God and believe we're saved, we know they come from the enemy who is Satan. And then, but then, hey, they come to, those evil thoughts come to discourage us and try to destroy us or try to get someone else destroyed. Because crazy stuff, it seems so crazy that these things pop into our minds and we have no idea of why and where they came from or why they came. Okay, so it's best to acknowledge the voice in a passive way. It's talking about the liar. Let me get back up here. Recognize the liar in your head. Yes, recognize the liar. Our brains are not designed, and I know I'm repeating just to give us pretty perfect thoughts 100% of the time, okay? So it's best to acknowledge the voice in a passive way. One of the best tricks that the author's telling us about, she said, the author said, one of the best tricks I learned came from a book based on ACT therapy, and it's called Thank You Mind. Now, every time your mind gives you an unhelpful thought, you tell it thank you and remove yourself from the thought. So we can practice that, can't we? So The author highly recommends the book The Happiness Trap for other tips to help deal with the particular challenge. The Happiness Trap, that's a book. So you can take note of that. Now, tip 4, don't compare yourself to other people's best. Don't compare yourself to other people's best. This is all working together, isn't it? So we know we're on the right track with this information. We know we are. Time and time again, the author says, I've made the mistake of hopping on Facebook when I'm feeling down. And so many people go on and they talk about how they're feeling. And to some people, really, that's therapy to them to be able to talk about it on Facebook, either talk about it or write about it, post about it on Facebook, either or. And it gives them, that's sometimes a therapy for some people. And sometimes it seems that Facebook, what is it, Twitter, that's the only thing some people have that helps them out emotionally. Time and time again, we've made the mistake of many people have of getting on Facebook when they're feeling down. So this post isn't here to shame people off of social media, but it's been found out by the author on the surface level, most people do their best at presenting their best. All right? Most people do their best at presenting their best. In fact, even as an entrepreneur, this author says he or she's been taught the science behind creating content that makes you shine and look like an expert. So when all you see is the best of somebody else, you will negatively judge yourself because you aren't able to keep up. Often this will cause you to freeze. This prevents momentum for yourself. So, on these social media, and you see all these lovely pictures and all this positive writing, but we don't know what's really deep down inside. But like I said, this could be therapy for that person. So if this is an area that causes you to get stuck, some things to consider. They may have been doing this longer. They may have struggles you aren't aware of. See what I just said? And these people are using these principles regularly. So the thing is, I'm not perfect. Sure, this is what the author says. Sure, I have a successful blog. I work at home running my own business, and so many people do. We do. I'm creative and artistic and can come up with unique solutions to just about everything. And so many have been blessed to do that. Now, a new blogger may see all that and think they can't succeed just because I look so amazing and have it all put together. But then a new blogger doesn't, sometimes they don't realize or think about this person's been at this longer than I have. Okay? So that couldn't be further from the truth. People still struggle. And this author said, I struggle with chronic health issues. See, people don't know that unless you tell them. They tell. It negatively affects my ability to run my blog. So, in fact, some days I rely on my husband because I can barely function. This is the blogger that wrote this blog. And she is saying, now we know this is a lady because I didn't see her name in the beginning, but I did tell you that this is planningmindfully.com. So she said, my life is filled with all kinds of challenges that honestly is amazing. I'm still alive and kicking. So we can't tell because this is a great blog, but she's telling us now that she has health problems. She has difficulties. She said, while I share these things and don't hide my flaws, remember that I have struggles you may not always visibly see. She's being honest with us, isn't she? So she's talking about get the liar in your head, get rid of that. So tip 5, stop asking why. When life seems to get tough, what do? Tip number 5 is stop asking why. When life gets challenging, many people fall to their knees and ask, why? Why me? What did I do to deserve this? The problem with this mentality is that most of the time there isn't an answer to your question. There just isn't an answer because we don't know what causes these things because life brings living. During our lives, challenges come, difficulties come, and we don't know why they came, but they come. But there is, it said, our trials come only to make us strong. Our challenges come, the experiences come. And when we survive these experiences, it makes us stronger. And remember, I think it was Saturday night in Greater Gospel Temple's Saturday evening Bible lesson session. I talked about temptation, and there's a scripture that tells us that there's no temptation that's not common to man. And then in that temptation, God always has a way for us to escape. So always remember that. So when life is challenging, many people fall to their knees and asking, why me? What did I do to deserve this? Why do I have to go through this? So the problem with this mentality is that most of the time, there isn't an answer to your question. There is not an answer. So she says, I've actually found in my years that asking why causes people to ruminate and hyper focus on the event. Hyper focus, okay? Next, they believe that you could have done something different to prevent your situation. And then next, develop a victim mentality. And some people, some people have this victim mentality. Every time I try, I just can't get ahead. I can't do this. I can't do that. That's that mind lying to you. You can make things happen in a positive way. You just have to stay positive. Don't let the negatives get you down to a point where you have no hope. Okay? Ultimately, asking why keeps you from moving forward. It keeps you angry and feeling bad about yourself. My goodness. Number 6, stop isolating yourself. And sometimes when we've heard, well, we haven't seen her in a long time. We haven't seen him in a long time. Well, they're staying in, they're having problems, and they don't want to be around anybody. So stop isolating yourself. Stop isolating yourself. When life gets hard, she said, I find that I feel better by avoiding everybody and everything, staying inside, closing the blinds, and pretending that the rest of the world doesn't exist. How many of you have felt like that at some time or another? Say no one ever. Okay? Says no one ever. But the thing is, people do this regularly. Yes, they do. Time to yourself is one thing, but a lot of people tend to completely shut everybody out when it gets hard. I don't want to be bothered with anybody. Just leave me alone. That's the worst thing to do. Unless it's somebody who's a busybody. We talked about that last week too. How to gently tell people how to get out of your business, okay? Studies show that social isolation is one of the worst things you could possibly do to yourself. Humans are built to be social creatures. It's in our very nature. Yes, it is. But when we ignore this nature because of shame, fear, depression, frustration, insert other negative emotional adjectives here, our health tanks. It just goes kaboom. Our physical health really, 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 because our emotions they have an effect on our physical being. Yes, they do. So when life gets hard, yes, when life gets hard, it's hard to keep your head high and get out in front of everybody else. It's embarrassing to cry in front of other people. To a lot of people, it is. Some people like to cry in front of other people to get their sympathy, okay? So we live in a society where the answer to how are you doing when you feel terrible is fine, and that is so true. And then a lot of people say blessed. Of course, we know you're blessed, but how are you doing? And we know why people say that sometimes. They're afraid that if they do start talking or something, they'll be going against what God wants them to do. He doesn't want us to complain. But some people are genuinely concerned, and people can see, they can read your spirits, they can read you. Yeah, I'm blessed. I'm blessed. Well, we know you're blessed. You're still alive. You're still moving around. We know that. But how are you doing? We live in a society where the answer how you doing says I'm fine. You may find some people unsupportive and unhelpful, but don't let that stop you from being around other people. The risks of asking for help are a lot milder than the perils of social isolation. So start doing these things when life gets hard, okay? In addition to engaging in behaviors that make life more difficult, people often stop performing healthy behaviors that help make life easier. Hello, thank you so much for being with me today. I appreciate you being here. I do. Let me see, I'm trying to fix this. Okay. Shame, embarrassment, guilt, frustration, and failure all contribute to stopping these helpful, healthy behaviors. Because these things go through our mind. We feel shame, we feel embarrassed. It depends on what happened. It depends on what happened. If you want to start moving forward, find ways to incorporate these behaviors into your routine. Tip 7, read other people's success stories. That will help you. Love reading other people's success stories, hearing about other people's successes. Above, the writer says, I mentioned the need to stop comparing yourself to others. One of the biggest falsehoods of comparison revolves around the belief that successful people do not have challenges. That lie couldn't be further from the truth. And when people come out, sometimes we come out, we could be having problems galore. But when we get in the zone of the fact that we're helping someone else, we're doing this, trying to help someone else, get hyped up and everything. And then people can't tell that we're going through problems too. But yes, we have our things that happen. We have things that are going on. But because we want to help someone else, then we make sure that we have ourselves together and be able to share what needs to be shared to encourage others. And by encouraging others, we encourage ourselves too. So one of her favorite authors is Hal Elrod. Hal Elrod. Looks like an amazing success from the outside in. He's engaging, he's witty, he's intelligent, and extraordinarily successful. She said, if I only viewed his life from a superficial level, it would be so easy to believe during challenging times that I will never be able to be like that. And never be able to be like that. So now, she said, I haven't met him beyond what I've heard through the Miracle Morning website and podcast. But that said, A deeper dive into his story clearly reveals that Hal's story isn't quite as rosy. In fact, it's downright tough to swallow. He's faced death multiple times. In fact, his first experience was a severe car crash that landed him in the hospital with a coma and numerous broken bones. Bonus, his girlfriend broke up with him while he was in the hospital. Lovely, right? We've heard of situations like this. And someone was talking to me the other day, and someone, I think, had gotten sick, and then the significant other broke up with the person while the person was sick. That can be devastating. That can be devastating. Pile it on. Just pile it on. So he got hit hard financially in the recession of 2008. He was hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. He's still successful. He doesn't give up when life gets hard. In fact, he takes full responsibility for his life. Even better, he gives us the tools to help us be successful despite our circumstances. So whether you read about Hal or somebody else you admire, I guarantee that you'll see a lot of hills and valleys in the life of whoever you choose to read about. It can really help provide perspective and knowledge that some of the best people in the world struggle just as much as you do. And that is so true. So, if a success story doesn't include hardships, it may not be a success story you want to read. Wow. Tip 8, show yourself compassion. We talk about this. Don't just be good to others, be good to yourself too. Oh, yes. Don't just be good to others, be good to yourself too. So, regardless of whether your challenging moments are a result of something you did or didn't do, do you ever find that constantly berating yourself helps you? Does it help you at all? No. So she said, I'm willing to bet your answer is a resounding no. Bad days happen. Yes, they do. Sometimes bad weeks and bad months happen. In fact, life is always going to throw things your way that you don't expect. So you may not always have control over what happens, but you have control over your response. And we should keep that in mind. We have control over our response. So if something challenging happens that you have no control of, instead of believing something you could have done differently would have a better outcome, give yourself love and compassion. Give it to yourself, love and compassion. Take a warm bubble bath, go to coffee with a friend, or you could call your mom and talk. If your mom is still here, but there's someone you can call and talk to, hopefully. Do whatever you need to do. You can call me if you want to. I think my phone number's on there. What is it? 469-629-9543, or you can call me on the book. Okay? Do whatever you need to do to get out of feeling blah so you can start moving forward again. Tip number 9, ask for help. Some of us are we have to be at a breaking point, what we think is a breaking point before we ask for help. But please ask for help. You can call me. I am certified. All right? When life gets hard, it's easy to stop doing the things that help you thrive. She said, I know when I'm not doing well, the last thing I want to do is clean my home. She said, but I also know that ignoring the problem doesn't actually make the problem go away. So this last week, my mom came to visit. She said she is so proud of everything I've accomplished over the last year, but she knows I struggle with my health and my family is busy. So she said, I'm definitely not taking care of the house the way I need to be. So always, she told me, anyways, she told me, Rachel, okay, Rachel is the author. We got her name. You're creative and smart. You've always had an eye for art and writing. You've never been great at cleaning. Some things were just not that good at, okay? You would feel so much better if you hired a house cleaner every week or two. And she's right. Rachel's talking. She said, and she's right. While I've considered it, I always thought that hiring a housekeeper made me lazy. So what my mom says is true though. Even as a child, I hated cleaning and it's definitely not on my skill list. And so she said she uses the word kid here. But I think if you've been watching me any time, you know how I feel about the word kid. But Rachel wrote this. I didn't, okay? Because I'm working my rear end off and I can't afford it. This is Rachel talking. Why not hire help for the areas I'm not so great at? So asking for help, whether it's asking friends or family or hiring help, is not a weakness. It is definitely not a weakness. Nobody is good at everything, and that's a fact. Nobody is good at everything. Find somebody who is so you can move forward in your life. Find somebody who's good at doing what needs to be done because nobody is good at everything. Next, tip 10, do it. Do one small thing. Remember, we talked about the small goes into the large victories, okay? There are two things that tend to prevent people from moving forward when life gets hard. First is when you do nothing, obviously. Doing nothing can never or has never, here we go. Doing nothing never got anybody anywhere. Second is when you try to do too much. Oh, yes. So she said, let me explain further. When you're not feeling great, one, your focus is likely poor and it's hard to concentrate. Two, when you will inevitably fail from getting everything done because you aren't in a place where you can manage the load, you'll likely berate yourself, revert to doing nothing, maybe even isolate because you can't possibly deal with more bad feelings. So, here's some related productive hacks, and there are 50 ways anyway. So she said, like I mentioned earlier in the article, momentum, she gives suggestions here. So this is planningmindfully.com. She said, like I mentioned earlier in the article, momentum doesn't have to be grandiose. Nobody ever walked from the East Coast to the West Coast in one big jump. They did it one step at a time. So maybe you could walk 5 steps last month. That doesn't matter now. You need to focus on your one step. Pick one thing you can do each day and do it. If the task is challenging, adjust the task. Simplify or delegate if necessary. Asking for help is a step. All right. Number 11. Oh, wow. I thought I was going to have a short webcast today, but this is taking you on through here, isn't it? Thank you so much for being with me. Thank you. Talking about what do you do when life seems to get tough? And when it gets tough, it's a fact because it's going to get tough sometime or another. Remember that improvement isn't linear. As children, our education provides the false belief that learning is linear. Linear. You learn that 1 plus 1 equals 2. Once you master addition, then subtraction, then multiplication, then division, then algebra, and so forth. But learning, growing, improving isn't that linear. We can be advanced in some areas and basic in other areas. See, if we realize that, we have to realize that we're not good in everything. We're not good in everything. Some of us can do many things, but we can't do everything. We cannot. It's a fact. We can be advanced in some areas and basic in other areas. Not to mention, your knowledge isn't fluid. What you know now likely doesn't match what you knew 10 years ago. As circumstances change, you have to gain new knowledge to handle new situations. And I think that's where a lot of people get in trouble. They're stagnated. They want everything to work like it did 10 years ago. But these times are different. Times are different. I made this, she made a chart here. So if you want to go there, you can see this chart. She said about time management. She said it's a chart that I just passed up because she said she thinks it's true. So, and anyway, tip number 12, reflect on your past. While it's unhealthy to ruminate about your situation, sometimes it's valuable to stop and remember about challenges you've dealt with in the past. She said it's unhealthy to ruminate. Ruminate, I've said that word more than once today. That means think deeply about something, okay? Think deeply about something. So she said, so while it's unhealthy to ruminate about your situation, sometimes it's valuable to stop and remember about challenges you've dealt with in the past. So, what did you learn from them? What positive things occurred in life because life got hard? So, we can think about that. She said, I was harmed significantly by somebody I barely knew back in 2009. Yet, had I not been harmed, I may not have met my husband. Wow. See, good things come out of bad and difficult situations. My goodness. Wow. She said, it sounds, wow. Is that 159? Yes, it is. And I'm not finished. She said, I was harmed significantly. She said, sounds morbid because nobody should ever have to endure what I went through, but nearly 10 years removed, I specifically recall I was supposed to have a job interview the same day it occurred. I had to reschedule it, obviously, as I was in the emergency room. She said, when I had my job interview, while waiting, my new husband came out of the back room with the supervisor. He just finished his interview as I was heading into mine. That brief encounter would not have happened had my job interview occurred the previous time. My goodness, wow. There are some more steps here, but I'm not going to hold you uh, longer. Let's see. Oh, okay. It's just a little bit more. So would you please let me just go ahead and finish this? There's not that much left. Not that much left. Almost. Okay. And I just went back too far. Let me see here. Oh, it's not that much to finish. She's talking about her husband when she met him. So let me see. Okay. And now she goes back and she talks about how Elrod taking responsibility. And then she said, while I didn't give credit to the person who harmed me, just a few more minutes, please, thank you. I also recognize that there could have been a different result in life that that event hadn't happened. Had that event hadn't happened. So here's a 13th tip. Take responsibility for what you can. Remember, Hal Elrod, who I mentioned earlier, one of the persons, she said she appreciates his story so much is because he takes responsibility for himself when life gets hard. Sure, the car crash wasn't his fault. He didn't want to have cancer. He didn't wish for the economy to fail. Oh my goodness. Wow. Despite having control over presumably none of these things, they all rocked him to the core. But when life got hard, he did literally whatever he could to keep moving forward and making progress. So when he had his car accident, he chose in the hospital to have an attitude of gratitude. So when the economy crashed, he created a morning routine to help keep his spirits lifted and body healthy, now famously known as the miracle morning. Now, then when he got cancer, bless his heart, he maintained a positive attitude. Hal did whatever he could to promote healing his body. So she says, I feel pretty confident if he had another life shattering situation, he would do what he could to take full responsibility of what is in his control. So do what works, stop what doesn't. Do what works. We're closing out, okay? Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you so much. She said, if I had to summarize every single point into one sentence, it would be do what works and stop what doesn't. All right. So a lot of people easily slide into these behaviors when life gets hard. And it's unfortunate that our society normalizes these behaviors. It's amazing how the things we do and the things we don't do negatively affect our ability to manage life challenges when they happen. You don't have to pretend that everything is okay when it isn't. We really don't. We really don't. So, yet, there is value in continuing to move forward when life gets hard. Ultimately, it's what separates those who are successful in life versus those who are not. The point of okay. Now, so if someone makes you feel bad and prevents you from making progress, it is wise to quit that behavior. So if you've had success with something that helps you get out of a rut, do it more. And don't let the liar in your head tell you otherwise. It's so easy to do that. And this is Rachel from Planning Mindfully. And this is so good. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you for being with me today. I truly, truly do. And God willing, Cleester will be with me on Thursday. Merethah's hours have changed, but she still hasn't been able to get to the point where she can come on during her lunch break. But we that's gonna work out, I believe. And then Eula's hours have changed too. She has more hours, so I miss them, but we're going on with Point of View. Thank you so much for being with me. I love you. Enjoy the remainder of your day. Please let me hear from you. Thank you.